Hi friends, how are you? It's been a while, it's been a few weeks, and I have a book for you. This one is called Sofia Valdez, Future Prez. And Prez would be short for the word, yeah, that's right, president. And you can see people are holding signs here, Sofia for president someday. And I'm guessing this girl is probably about 6, 7, or 8 years old, so the age of a lot of you right now. And she would have to be 35 years old in the United States to be president. You have to be a minimum. That means you have to be at least that age of 35 to be president. So she would not yet be eligible. She has about another 25 to 28 or so years before she could be president. But someday. And this book was donated by a friend, and I hope that friend knows who they are. We really appreciate this coming to our first grade library. Sophia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. You can see she's helping, it looks like her father or her grandfather, water things. And I believe the father seems like he's crying because he's so touched that somebody that young would be in position or want to help. She and Abuela went out every week to help elderly friends around the Blue River Creek. We know elderly means old, who couldn't get out and about on their own and with no place to gather were stuck home alone. So that's really nice. So here's all the older or elderly people. Okay, they're right over here. And here she is with her abuela, or is that the name of the person? She and abuela. I'm not sure. I've taken some Spanish, but I don't really know what abuela means or whether that is the name of a person. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk, Sofia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends and her whole neighborhood. Oh, yes, we're rhyming. We're in a poem type of writing here. A dreamer, a doer, a real life go getter. Most people like good, but Sophia liked better. You know, I love that. She was always thinking about how she could do stuff better. She just didn't want to do stuff well or good. She wanted to do things better. Okay, and it looks like she's walking these dogs while this adult here is raking these leaves, but you can see this adult abuela is keeping a good eye on Sophia, right? Because she's still pretty young. To keep an eye on those youngins. Ooh, my cat just bust through the door. Hey, Luna, welcome. Come on over. Do you want to say hello to everybody? Oh, this is kind of odd. Okay, so let's read it this way. Each morning, Abuela walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, marching cookies, Abuela and girl, except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel. And you see that kind of rhymes, girl and squirrel. With a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sophia scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing pup. So this is getting all weird because the text is running around like that. But you see that the illustrator did a really good job here, and whoever designed this book, of, kind of making you want to turn the book as you're reading it, and then the action, starts to make sense. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill, made of leftover junk for the local landfill. They reached the tip top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. Okay, so you see her running up the hill, and Abuela, and they're chasing the dog, who's chasing the squirrel. And that's an interesting squirrel. That's a red squirrel. And I believe they do exist, red squirrels, but they're more rare, or they're not as common as, the common gray squirrel. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on the moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ew, a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud? That would not be a pleasant ending to their day. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. And of course he's concerned, right? Here's this energetic girl. And, he's concerned. She's always, trying to do a little extra, right? And sometimes that might get her into a little bit of trouble. The next day, Sofia walked to school solo, but it wasn't the same without her abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sofia, who glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. That gave me an idea. I think abuelo is probably a grandfather or grandparent, or maybe it's mom or maybe it's dad. I don't know. I think abuelo is dad. But I don't know. I would look it up, but I'm using this right here, my phone, which I could look it up on to record this. The very next morning at dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. A little girl or a little boy can make a difference in this world. She's decided that Mount Trashmore is this disgusting thing, and that they can take that land or that area and they can turn it into something better. I love that idea. Each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by 1:45 Okay, so you see she has all these people gathered together and they all have these ideas. And she's taking charge. She has a pencil and a pad of paper, and she's organizing people, which is great. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed. Then, bam! She woke up when a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, "Let me know when it's done." They all thought Sofia could build it alone. But how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. Then thought, blah, 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 blah. Let me get the blah blahs out. Okay, ready? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're out. Okay, ready? I'm going to read perfectly now. I'm going to try, okay? Then dawn brought a storm, and the gloomy sky wept, and the heartsick Sofia finally slept. And you see she was wide awake there. She had so much on her mind. And it seems like she likes the singer Sade. I'm guessing that is the singer Sade. Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bag full and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sofia. For courage, he whispered, Te amo, mi vida. Sophia's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried. Though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sofia Valdez went to face City Hall. So, it seems like he has an injury to his leg there. You see how he has like a cast or some kind of bandage on his leg? So there's the library. It's a great place to do research if you're ever in, on that type of project. And then here's City Hall. And City Hall is where the local government, the local people who run a town, who make decisions about the welfare of the town, would have their offices. That's where they would work. And other stuff happens there too, but that would be the main thing for City Hall. The mayor's office sent her to room 401. The Blue River Creek Department of Fun would send her downstairs to room 302, the office of duck ponds and cool things to do, to the office of monkeys, the department of cheese, the division of fountains and meetings and bees, then down to a basement so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's where the clerk said what no one else did, "You can't build a new park, you're only a kid." Oh boy. Kids are people too, and kids have great brains. All right, you have great brains. that you know how to use. And with something like that, that person should not have said, you can't do this because you're only a child. Children can make a difference in this world too, and we'll see what Sofia does here. The words smacked Sofia deep down in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. I think, said Sofia, I think that law's wrong. But her second grade voice didn't sound very strong. Oh, that look, we have her age, so she's pretty much your age right now because you're entering into second grade. The clerk said clearly, it cannot be done. Do you have any questions? Sofia said one. If you were me, and if I was you, and he was your grandpa, what would you do? Well, said the clerk. Then she said nothing at all. She thought and she thought. Then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. So she finally has an ally. An ally is somebody you can team up with that can help you out. It's good to have allies in this world. And this woman sees a little girl and she wants to help out. And I really love that. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sophie speak. But her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly and she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sophia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of the old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do. Though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2. See, this is a great line here. And that was the moment when Sophia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do. Okay? Being brave is knowing that you have to do something. She has to do this to advance her idea. All right? And being brave is having the courage, is having the determination to do that thing, even though it may feel scary. Right? She's scared. I mean, she's a little girl speaking in front of a bunch of adults, right? Trying to, sell her idea. She took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled, she held her head high. Sophia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two. And I love cheese, a kiosk for cheese for everyone. So, this is, you see how the ellipses are there? You see those ellipses, those 3 dots? That means we have to wait for what's on the next page. But they're leading us up to something that we don't know. And what good readers do, and what it said was, and perhaps a way to combine the two, and those actually weren't ellipses. I'm sorry. That's a long dash, and often it acts in the same way. It makes you hold that thought, and then you're like, what? Like, what's next? What? Okay, and we'll see. All right, cried the mayor. Go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission. So they have agreed. That was the big thing we had to wait on. And so young Sophia got right to work with some help from her family and Pup and the clerk. Okay. Bark for parks. That's great. And you see they all have signs. And they're picketing, right? Picketing is when you make a sign and you march around and you say, this is what I'd like to change, or this is what I would like to do. And it's a way to get attention your way for your idea. So you see they're all picketing here. They have these signs like, we want a park, we can do it, we love parks, sign our petition, please. And a petition is something that people sign that says, yes, here's my signature, I am this person, and I want this. You're putting your signature on it, which is your voice, which is saying, I want this. Okay, then others joined in, not all, but a few. But Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. There were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure, then bulldozers, cranes, and blue bigger digger. They all built that park, that's how it got done, and the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together in Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sofia Valdez could grow up to be president. And I don't know about you, and I don't know if you could see them here, but I just got goosebumps. That made me so happy that this little girl who had this amazing idea, people saw potential in her. And potential is what people have inside of them. And it's the idea that they could do something that is much bigger than even what they've already done. Until then, Sofia, that real life go getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. And you see here's the name of the park, and she's covering it. It's called Citizens Park, and a citizen is somebody who lives in a town. It's the people who live there, they're called citizens. And you see everybody's pitching in, and they're all excited about it. And let's see, I'm guessing that's the last page, but let me just turn to make sure. Oh, and here's the final sign of Citizens Park. You know, that's amazing. I love that. You know, people may tell you, or you may think that just because you're a child, you can't make a difference in this world. And of course you can. As adults, you can make difference. As a child, you can make a difference in this world. And if there's something that you're passionate about, then you can, move in that direction to change something that you think needs to be changed. If you think your town needs a recycling program, if you think that your library has to have a better way of lending out books, like whatever it is, you could be a voice for that. And you can use the help of your parents or your brothers or sisters to help, get your ideas across, because you're all amazing people. You all have amazing minds. And even though you're 6, 7, 8 years old, doesn't mean that you can't make a huge difference in this world. I know you can. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.